The unthinkable has just become reality. After 200 years of dead ends, failed expeditions, and generations of treasure hunters walking away empty-handed, Rick Lagina has achieved what no one dared believe was possible. The legendary Oak Island mystery has finally cracked wide open. A $75 million treasure hoard confirmed, buried deep in the infamous money pit. This isn't just another theory. It's not folklore or speculation anymore. It's real, verified, and absolutely mind-blowing. If you've been following this saga, now's the time to smash that like button and subscribe, because what I'm about to reveal changes everything we thought we knew about this 200-year-old enigma. When the news broke, it hit the world like a lightning bolt. Headlines across the globe exploded in unison. Oak Island jackpot unearthed. Within hours, a short but electrifying clip of Rick Lagina confirming the discovery was everywhere. He didn't say much, just a slight nod, a half smile, and the words, "Yes, it's real." But that was enough to send shockwaves through the entire treasure hunting community. News anchors couldn't get enough. They replayed the clip over and over, analyzing every detail like it was a courtroom confession. Online forums lit up. Skeptics cried hoax, accusing the show of staging it for ratings. But believers? They called it the greatest modern treasure find in history. And then, the leaks began. Grainy drone footage, quickly scrubbed from most websites, but saved by die-hard fans, showed convoys of trucks leaving Oak Island under the cover of darkness. The trucks carried sealed wooden crates under armed escort. Economists soon weighed in, estimating the treasure, gold bullion, priceless artifacts, could be worth over $75 million, maybe even more if connections to royal fortunes or the lost Templar gold proved true. That's when whispers began about what really happened that night. Local fishermen reported seeing intense floodlights around the money pit well past 2 a.m., like something out of a military operation. This wasn't a late-night dig. It was a covert mission. Heavy machinery was brought in quietly, some of it rented through shell companies using fake names. Guard dogs were spotted. Locals swore they saw men with radios patrolling the shore. Something big was happening, and it was happening fast, away from cameras, away from the public. Then came the strange sounds. The screech of metal against stone. Not from modern tools, but from something ancient being forced open. Shortly afterward, reports surfaced that the entire crew had been bound by strict non-disclosure agreements. No one was allowed to talk. No leaks, no spoilers. Whatever was found was being locked down tighter than Fort Knox, but secrets never stay buried for long. It turns out a massive stone barrier, untouched for centuries, had finally been breached. The first team inside described a rush of air escaping, thick, stale, reeking of salt and decay, like the breath of a sealed tomb. What lay beyond left them stunned. Thermal imaging had revealed a hidden chamber, enormous, precise, and deliberate, roughly 30 by 20 feet. This was no natural cave. When a camera probe was lowered inside, it captured quick flashes of gold in the darkness and brilliant jewel tones catching the light. Then, even more shocking, walls made of oak timbers, perfectly preserved. Undeniable evidence of human craftsmanship. But the centerpiece, a massive chest. Iron-banded and half-collapsed, it sat partially submerged in black mud at the chamber's center. It was photographed. It was filmed. But the footage was mysteriously cut, never shown. The decision to hold it back only deepened the mystery. And for the first time in the history of the show, Rick Lagina's calm demeanor cracked. Standing in front of the discovery that had eluded the world for generations, he looked overwhelmed. The moment said it all. They had found something monumental. The man who had spent decades chasing shadows and legends across Oak Island was visibly shaken. Rick Lagina stood there, trembling, his voice cracking as he turned to the producers and whispered, "This changes everything." It was more than a statement. It was the culmination of a lifetime spent chasing a mystery, now crashing into the undeniable truth that something had finally, truly been found. His face told the whole story. generations of unanswered questions weighing on him, now answered in the most earth-shattering way imaginable. What left those present in stunned silence wasn't just Rick's words, but the raw, unfiltered emotion behind them. The usually composed, stoic, and cautious man seemed overwhelmed, as though the island itself had finally whispered back. Weeks later, leaked audio from behind-the-scenes recordings surfaced. In one hushed clip, Rick could be heard saying, "We've crossed the line from legend to reality. There's no going back." That single sentence would stick with fans, not just because it confirmed the discovery, but because it hinted at a deeper responsibility. This was no longer a story of curiosity and adventure. The weight of proof, protection, and preservation now rested on the Lagina's shoulders. Crew members recalled seeing Rick hold a particular artifact with something close to reverence, barely even breathing near it. A thick, heavy coin, engraved with a cross-like symbol, eerily similar to the Templar cross. As he turned it over in his hands, his eyes welled up, and for the first time, Rick Lagina cried. But these weren't tears of exhaustion or frustration. They were tears of awe. In that moment, the lifelong searcher was holding something that bridged centuries of myth and the hard truth of reality. He would later compare the moment to unlocking the very heart of Oak Island's mystery. It was a statement so profound that even lifelong skeptics paused. And yet, when Rick finally addressed the public, he did what he had always done. He kept it quiet, measured, careful. His entire official statement was reduced to a single fact. The estimated value of the discovery was $75 million. That was it. No dramatic press conference, no detailed breakdown, no artifact list, just a number. And that number alone set off a firestorm across history books, investor meetings, and treasure hunting forums worldwide. His silence only made the moment feel more intense. Because in a place like Oak Island, it's often what's not said that tells the real story. And so, rumors rushed in to fill the silence. They always do. Whispers from the crew, blurry photographs shared before production locked everything down, and accounts from people who had seen just a glimpse of what lay beneath the island painted a picture that was nothing short of breathtaking. There were gold ingots, not neatly stacked, but heaped in chaotic piles, many stamped with unfamiliar symbols that appeared ancient, untraceable to any modern mint. They were rough, hand-forged, irregular. The signs of long voyages at sea were clear: salt corrosion on the corners, pitted edges worn by time. Scattered across the chamber floor were gemstones, raw, uncut, unpolished. Sapphires with jagged edges, emeralds so dark they looked black in low light, rubies catching the glint of the camera probes. These weren't modern jewels. They were treasure in its oldest form, pulled from the earth in eras where beauty and value were one and the same. And then came something even stranger. Scroll tubes, sealed tight with wax, and somehow still intact after centuries underground. Symbols carved into their surfaces seemed to hint at ancient maps, charters, or navigational records. If authentic, these documents wouldn't just prove the treasure's existence. They could reshape historical timelines, shedding new light on colonial expansion, piracy, or even sacred pilgrimages long lost to history. Beside the scrolls sat ornately designed chalices, their golden rims tarnished but undeniably regal. One crew member described a sword, its hilt gilded, pulled from the mud. The craftsmanship clearly European, though experts remain divided over whether it's Spanish or French. And finally, the most mysterious artifact of all, a carved stone tablet, half buried and inscribed in Latin. Early translations suggested it referenced vows, oaths, and rites connected to the Knights Templar. Some believed it was ceremonial, others argued it was proof of guardianship. A message from the past that Oak Island had indeed been used as a vault, protected by secretive hands sworn to keep it hidden. As word of the discovery spread, long-dismissed historical theories suddenly re-entered the conversation. Ideas once laughed off, like the legend of the Knights Templar fleeing Europe with their immense treasure, no longer seemed so far-fetched. Persecuted in the early 1300s, the Templars vanished under the weight of the French crown's greed, taking with them relics and riches the world never saw again. Had they found refuge here, beneath an island that would remain a mystery for centuries? Historians who once scoffed at the idea were now rethinking their positions. The artifacts being uncovered aligned disturbingly well with that ancient theory. Others pointed to a different possibility: Spain's colonial dominance in the 1600s. Could a Spanish galleon, heavy with gold and stolen riches from the New World, have run aground or intentionally hidden its cargo in Nova Scotia to avoid capture by English privateers? Maritime records show a curious number of unexplained shipwrecks off the Nova Scotian coast during that time. Unexplained sinkings that, in light of these discoveries, suddenly feel like more than coincidence. And then, there were whispers of something even stranger: Sir Francis Bacon. For decades, fringe theorists have speculated that Bacon's lost works, or even early drafts of Shakespearean plays, were hidden on Oak Island. Until recently, these were just oddball theories. But the discovery of sealed scroll tubes changed that. Voices grew louder, suggesting that Oak Island might not just be hiding treasure, it could be guarding the intellectual wealth of an entire era. Archivists dove into maritime logs and colonial documents, uncovering odd discrepancies. Ships recorded leaving Europe that never arrived. Reports of missing cargo. Entire convoys vanishing without explanation. All signs, all clues, seemed to point to Nova Scotia's rugged, mysterious coastline. A museum curator in Nova Scotia even went on record, warning that if these artifacts were proven authentic, they wouldn't just confirm a hidden treasure. They could force historians to rewrite large portions of European colonial history. Because these weren't just random relics. They hinted at a coordinated effort: cultures, nations, and empires funneling treasure to Oak Island, using it as a secret vault across centuries. The discovery, still wrapped in secrecy, left the world stunned. Rick's emotional reaction, the rumored list of recovered items, the sudden resurgence of long-doubted theories, all of it began forming a picture far bigger than just lost gold. This wasn't just a pile of coins and jewels. This was something deeper. Evidence that Oak Island had served, again and again, as a depository of wealth, knowledge, and power. And now, with just one chamber opened, the question wasn't whether the legends were true. It was how much more was still hidden. As the dust settled, experts began reviewing the numbers. The early estimates were staggering. Just the gold recovered so far is believed to weigh over 2,500 pounds, putting its value well above $50 million. And that's just the beginning. The gemstones, still undergoing appraisal, could push the total haul up by another $20 to $30 million, depending on their rarity, clarity, and historical origins. These aren't decorative pieces. These are uncut sapphires, rough emeralds, and deep blood-red rubies, treasure as it existed before it was ever displayed or sold, representing centuries of wealth lost, hidden, and now finally rediscovered. Then come the historical artifacts, swords, chalices, and carved tablets, whose cultural and scholarly value could far exceed even the most generous financial estimates. Experts are warning that these pieces might be, quite literally, priceless. Their significance could change how we understand parts of world history, making the monetary value almost secondary. Insurance companies are now scrambling. How do you insure something that's potentially worth tens of millions, but may also be irreplaceable? How do you secure its transport, preserve its integrity, and handle the legal chaos that could erupt from nations or institutions claiming ownership? Every layer of risk, financial, historical, political, is magnified by the mystique of Oak Island. Its small size, its enormous legend, and the watchful eyes of the world mean that nothing about this treasure can be handled like business as usual. Meanwhile, the internet has completely exploded with speculation and amateur analysis. Reddit forums, Twitter threads, and YouTube commentators are buzzing with arguments, calculating the possible weight of the gold, debating the rarity of the gemstones, and speculating wildly about how deep the money pit might really go. Armchair economists are throwing out jaw-dropping figures. Some estimate that, once fully assessed and verified, the treasure could be worth upwards of $150 million. That number alone has seasoned treasure hunters shaking their heads in disbelief. But as the excitement builds, so does the suspicion. Accusations of a cover-up have begun to intensify. Fans claim the History Channel deliberately edited out key footage that may have shown the full scale of the chamber and the staggering amount of treasure recovered. The theory? To stretch the mystery across future episodes and keep audiences hooked. Every reaction shot, every pause in Rick's interviews is now under the microscope. Reddit users are comparing leaked audio with the televised broadcasts, searching for inconsistencies and omissions, convinced that what the public has seen is only a small part of the truth. Whistleblowers have added fuel to the fire, claiming that several crates were quietly flown off the island under the watch of government officials, bypassing standard transportation routes. Rumors are swirling that Rick may have been pressured to publicly downplay the hoard's value to avoid legal, political, and historical chaos. Online petitions are now circulating, demanding the release of the unedited footage. Fans argue that the world deserves to see everything, that Oak Island's greatest discovery shouldn't be kept under wraps, delayed for ratings, or hidden by red tape. Locally, the frenzy has been just as intense, though far more tangible. Tourism agencies have been overwhelmed. Bookings to visit Oak Island are now backed up for months. In nearby Chester, souvenir shops have leapt into action, selling replica coins, gold bar keychains, and t-shirts with bold slogans like $75 million, jackpot, and I survived the money pit. Residents say the island feels like it's under constant watch. Drones buzz overhead, helicopters sweep across the dawn skies, and media vans line the shoreline. Fishermen who once enjoyed peaceful Atlantic mornings now report seeing unmarked boats patrolling the waters, giving the island an almost militarized, high-security atmosphere. Even property owners are feeling the ripple effects. Real estate prices in the area are soaring, with buyers hoping to own a piece of land close to what many are now calling the new El Dorado. A name that would have sounded like fantasy just weeks ago, but now feels oddly appropriate. But the frenzy isn't just about money or tourism, it's cultural. For families with generational ties to Oak Island, this moment feels deeply personal. The spotlight has found them, as historians, journalists, and treasure hunters pour in from around the world. The island itself seems alive, pulsing with energy, as though the decades of digging, the whispered stories, and the relentless curiosity have all come to a head. Every visitor, every theory, every photograph adds another layer to a story that's rapidly evolving beyond treasure. Oak Island is no longer just a mystery, it's becoming a modern legend. Even within the Lagina team, tensions are high. Crew members describe sleepless nights filled with debate. Which artifacts should be prioritized for appraisal? Which ones need to be documented first? Which need immediate preservation? The pressure is enormous, not just because of the value of what they found, but because the world is watching their every move. The logistical challenges are staggering. How do you safely transport 2,500 pounds of gold, priceless artifacts, and delicate gemstones? How do you keep the process secure while remaining transparent? Every choice carries weight far beyond dollars. It carries the burden of legacy. And yet, perhaps the most profound part of all this is what the treasure represents. It's not just a pile of gold and glittering stones. It's living proof that the legends might have been true. That stories of Templar knights, Spanish galleons, and secret societies weren't just myths. They were warnings, or perhaps clues, about what lay hidden beneath our feet. The discovery doesn't just answer questions, it opens 100 more. And suddenly, Oak Island isn't just a place, it's a gateway to history, to mystery, and to a past that still has more to reveal. Every artifact pulled from the depths, every gold ingot, ancient scroll, ornate chalice, and weathered coin carries with it the weight of forgotten journeys and secret histories. Each item whispers of voyages across dangerous seas and decisions made by men long gone who buried their wealth with intention, caution, and a deep desire for secrecy. As the full scale of the discovery began to settle in, social media erupted. Almost instantly, hashtags like #LaginaJackpot and #TemplarTreasure went viral, spreading across continents within hours. Fans flooded the internet, analyzing every frame of Oak Island footage, every leaked image, every muffled clip of audio from the dig site, all in a frenzy to uncover more. Many believed the $75 million valuation was just scratching the surface. According to online theorists, what had been found might only be the beginning. A single room in a larger labyrinth of hidden chambers, some possibly holding treasures far beyond what's already been revealed. And as always with Oak Island, the theories only got wilder. Conspiracy stories multiplied overnight. Some online sleuths claimed the Vatican had quietly backed part of the excavation and had secretly removed key religious relics before filming even began. Others took it to extremes, speculating that the treasure may not be entirely earthly in origin. They pointed to unexplained magnetic anomalies near the money pit as possible evidence of extraterrestrial involvement. YouTube investigators pored over every clip, frame by frame, insisting that subtle movements, strange shadows, and undiscussed equipment hinted at a second, deeper chamber. Reddit threads and Discord channels lit up with maps, sketches, and speculative reconstructions. Everyone wanted to be the first to figure out what was really happening beneath Oak Island. And while some theories bordered on the ridiculous, the excitement was undeniable and unstoppable. The buzz spread far beyond Nova Scotia. In Europe, royalists speculated that some of the artifacts might include missing pieces of royal regalia, jewels or relics lost during centuries of upheaval, maybe even treasures tied to the English crown or the French monarchy. Academics weren't far behind. Universities began holding emergency roundtables. Historians submitted papers within days, re-evaluating colonial and maritime timelines in light of the find. Religious scholars joined in too, questioning whether certain recovered items could be linked to biblical relics or sacred objects long thought lost to history. And then the legal questions began. Governments across the globe started looking into the origin of the artifacts, especially those with cultural or national ties to the treasure's possible origins. Questions of ownership and repatriation quickly surfaced. Who, if anyone, had the legal right to claim these priceless items? Meanwhile, darker rumors began to circulate. Word spread that black market interest had already been stirred. Whispers told of wealthy private collectors with historical connections and deep pockets, making quiet offers to obtain some of the most coveted pieces. A development that threatened to plunge the discovery into a murky world of ethics, legality, and greed. With the world's eyes fixed on Oak Island, attention turned to its future. Rick and Marty Lagina now faced an impossible choice: continue digging in search of even deeper secrets, or preserve the site as a sacred archaeological landmark. Early findings hinted that more chambers might lie beneath the current discovery, some potentially even older, some possibly even more significant. The pressure wasn't just historical, it was media-driven too. Major streaming platforms, including Netflix and its competitors, were reportedly locked in bidding wars for exclusive access to unseen footage. For the Lagina team, that meant not only global visibility, but immense pressure to get every decision right. Fans online began speculating that the upcoming season, likely season 12, would focus entirely on the treasure's gradual unveiling, each episode revealing new artifacts, deeper mysteries, and potentially world-shifting implications. The anticipation was like nothing the show had ever seen. And on the island itself, the energy was electric. Locals reported a constant hum of drones and helicopters overhead. Curious tourists swarmed the area, trying to catch even a glimpse of the legendary site. Media teams lined the shores, cameras ready, desperate for the next headline, the next revelation. Oak Island had gone from a centuries-old mystery to the center of a modern legend, and it seemed the story was only just beginning. Maps began circulating online, theorizing complex underground tunnel systems beneath Oak Island. Real-time satellite scans were pored over by amateur analysts and professionals alike. Scholars debated the meaning of Latin inscriptions, the appearance of Templar crosses, and the foreign mint marks stamped on some of the unearthed coins. Every small detail became a spark for massive speculation, suggesting that Oak Island might be more than a treasure site. It could be the resting place of a forgotten historical narrative, layered beneath centuries of secrecy, misdirection, and sediment. Collectors, historians, and curious enthusiasts around the world weighed in. Were the gold and gemstones part of a larger Templar hoard? Could the infamous Spanish galleons, referenced in centuries-old maritime... The unthinkable has just become reality. After 200 years of dead ends, failed expeditions, and generations of treasure hunters walking away empty-handed, Lagina has achieved what no one dared believe was possible. The legendary Oak Island mystery has finally cracked wide open. A $75 million treasure hoard confirmed, buried deep in the infamous money pit. This isn't just another theory. It's not folklore or speculation anymore. It's real, verified, and absolutely mind-blowing. If you've been following this saga, now's the time to smash that like button and subscribe, because what I'm about to reveal changes everything we thought we knew about this 200-year-old enigma. When the news broke, it hit the world like a lightning bolt. Headlines across the globe exploded in unison. Oak Island jackpot unearthed. Within hours, a short but electrifying clip of Lagina confirming the discovery was everywhere. He didn't say much, just a slight nod, a half smile, and the words, "Yes, it's real." But that was enough to send shockwaves through the entire treasure hunting community. News anchors couldn't get enough. They replayed the clip over and over, analyzing every detail like it was a courtroom confession. Online forums lit up. Skeptics cried hoax, accusing the show of staging it for ratings. But believers? They called it the greatest modern treasure find in history. And then, the leaks began. Grainy drone footage, quickly scrubbed from most websites, but saved by die-hard fans, showed convoys of trucks leaving Oak Island under the cover of darkness. The trucks carried sealed wooden crates under armed escort. Economists soon weighed in, estimating the treasure, gold bullion, priceless artifacts, could be worth over $75 million, maybe even more if connections to royal fortunes or the lost Templar gold proved true. That's when whispers began about what really happened that night. Local fishermen reported seeing intense floodlights around the money pit well past 2 a.m., like something out of a military operation. This wasn't a late-night dig. It was a covert mission. Heavy machinery was brought in quietly, some of it rented through shell companies using fake names. Guard dogs were spotted. Locals swore they saw men with radios patrolling the shore. Something big was happening, and it was happening fast, away from cameras, away from the public. Then came the strange sounds. The screech of metal against stone. Not from modern tools, but from something ancient being forced open. Shortly afterward, reports surfaced that the entire crew had been bound by strict non-disclosure agreements. No one was allowed to talk. No leaks, no spoilers. Whatever was found was being locked down tighter than Fort Knox, but secrets never stay buried for long. It turns out a massive stone barrier, untouched for centuries, had finally been breached. The first team inside described a rush of air escaping, thick, stale, reeking of salt and decay, like the breath of a sealed tomb. What lay beyond left them stunned. Thermal imaging had revealed a hidden chamber, enormous, precise, and deliberate, roughly 30 by 20 feet. This was no natural cave. When a camera probe was lowered inside, it captured quick flashes of gold in the darkness and brilliant jewel tones catching the light. Then, even more shocking, walls made of oak timbers, perfectly preserved. Undeniable evidence of human craftsmanship. But the centerpiece? A massive chest. Iron-banded and half-collapsed, it sat partially submerged in black mud at the chamber's center. It was photographed. It was filmed.